today our typical buyer is between 30 and 50 years old. They have 2 kids and are in the middle of their working life.
So you're Swedish, so you have both the experience in the market, direct, indirect, and your own personal understanding of what's happening with
Yeah, I
the
believe
Swedish
so.
buyers.
And like you say, yeah, we are a developer, we have that leg to stand on, but we are also a commercializing agent, even if we're quite narrow in what we do and what we take on. But yeah, so in our segment and in our little sort of piece of the cake, in the areas we work, Nueva Andalucia, La Quinta, Golden Mile, mainly. There's obviously always exceptions to it, and say price range, say bulk is between 2 and 15 million, sort of. That's where we do the most of our turnover. We do things below, we do things above, but that's where we have the big turnover. It's been newly built, newly renovated, and properties of a certain standard. That's our niche. And in that sort of segment, yeah, I think in this market and in this segment, we have most buyers in this segment looking for a villa in that segment. They pass through our office, meets me or one of my colleagues at some point.
And how have you found any difference in how do you relate to the statistics that are suggesting that the Swedes, I think for the first time ever, have overtaken the Brits as the most searched for country for Marbella, which is, they were always, I think Swedish buyers were always very present in Marbella, particularly in the areas that you guys move in.
Yeah.
But it is quite a big sign of the times that it's overtaken it. So what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised, and I think there's quite a few factors to it. As you say, Swedes have been active here. I mean, like my father-in-law, he moved here from Sweden in the 50s already. So we've had in Guadalmina, we have Swedes that were here already 60s, 70s, Nueva Andalucia. There's been a lot of developers that have been Swedish early on. But I think at this time now, I mean, I saw a lot of Swedes driving the market already, say, after the crisis. So in 2012, 13, 14, there were a lot of Swedes, but mainly then holiday homes. And I believe before the 2008 crisis, that's what a lot of people were looking for, realizing their dream of getting a holiday home. Before 2008, I think the buyers, the foreign buyers, were often the typical client had sort of retired and got their holiday home in the sun with playing golf and had sort of older. Today, our typical buyer is between 30 and 50 years old. They have 2 kids and are in the middle of their working life. And what's the difference then? I mean, I was already in 2007-8, before I moved here full time in 2010-11, I was working with a Swedish company and I was working a lot from here remotely. So it's not something new, but obviously we have the possibility, we have had the possibility to work remotely. And when it comes to Sweden, I think Sweden is it's a country with a lot of companies sat behind a computer, and where this possibility has been available for people. We have had the early adopters that are in IT that's been moving in here for the last 5 years, and now thanks to but as an effect of COVID, people have been working from home. Now the world is used to that fact. Like you and me now, we're over Zoom, and people can now choose where home is going to be. And I believe Spain, as a Swede, Spain offers the infrastructure, the security, the healthcare, the school system, all of those fundamental things that are important for you to move your family and your kids and feel safe and secure. Spain ticks all of those boxes, and on top of that, it's you have the lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle, the outdoors. It's light at 6 o'clock in the evening when you get home from work. You can take your kids down to the beach and bicycle in January. So the quality of life, I think people are choosing. So what I notice with our buyers, not only from Sweden, because I believe in Solvilla, I don't think there's this year, for example, I don't think in our turnover, I think Swedes stands for maybe 25-30% of our total turnover. It is the biggest group now looking at our website. That is true. But I think in our turnover, I think 25-30% are Swedes.
And the other 75%, is that just a whole range of different countries, or
you know how it is? It varies. That varies. We have had a lot of buyers from France, Holland, Belgium, a few Danes, a few Norwegians, but and Americans and Canadians, but so there's a big mix. I believe also the Brits have been pretty quiet the last year, and I think that has to do not only with the corona, but and the heavy lockdowns they've had, but also the Brexit situation have confused people. Obviously, I know, and there is us and our collaborating agencies are constantly working with British buyers that will come. They just don't know when, and have been postponing that trip. So I think we're gonna at some point see a peak when the Brits are able and willing and feel secure of the all different reasons to get back to Spain.
So would you say that at the moment what we're seeing in Marbella, particularly in the mid to high end, is a sort of a result of I think as your fellow Swede Victor calls it, the ketchup effect, the pent up demand? And the UK is on hold, and we'll see that in a few months' time, that kind of thing. That's kind of what I'm thinking, yeah?
I believe so, yeah. But then again, also, I mean, what we're seeing, a lot of the Swedish buyers that I've had lately, they are not buying a holiday home. They are buying a house or a home to move to. So I have clients with, well, different time frames. They're buying now, but their plan is to move here either now, in a year, 3 years, 5 years, but there's a plan to actually relocate to Spain.
It's interesting because the firm Knight Frank did published some research a few months ago, and one of their forecasts for prime properties globally this year was the blurring of the lines between primary and secondary residence, and that's exactly what you're describing. It's not that clear cut, is it? It's sort of, is it first residence, second residence? Is it a bit of both? And I think maybe a lot of people looking to use it to do their work and have their families here, and see it as possible to turn it from primary from secondary to primary, and see if the work conditions permit. So that's very, very interesting. Well,
I think as well for the market, I think it's a good thing as well, because a market of primary residences are not as sensitive as a market of secondary residences, in case we have a bump on the road on the price curve moving forward. If there's a crisis or of some sort, you tend to sell your boat, and then maybe the car, and then there's a secondary home, but your primary home you stay put. And I think that's good for the stability of the Marbella market.
I suppose it's good for the local economy year round as well. So it's not just a summer economy, but actually spreads it out a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, I see a lot of, the effects, I believe the clients that we have that are now buying villas and moving down, they are entrepreneurs, they are working. A lot of them are setting up offices here and then bringing employees. And that will, I think, I believe that there will probably be an effect there as well. We have the villa market moving. I think when these employees might not all buy a villa, but they might be clients buying to move to a townhouse or an apartment and set up their life here as well.